Why do people care so much when someone, especially when a woman, expresses that they don't want kids? Your body, your choice as far as I'm concerned. If someone else is so obsessed with how you treat your own body, then it's not worth listening to them since they don't have anything intelligent to say. Mostly because people like getting worked up over things that affect them, bro. Let me assure you, people will tell you to have kids constantly until you're 40, even if you tell people that you're infertile. Some will tell you all about your other options. Every species wants to reproduce, and social pressure has been a successful technique for tens of thousands of years, so you can't escape it without some finesse. Google answers to questions about having kids and come up with a set of answers for different people. Nosy aunts, coworkers, friends, obnoxious strangers, etc. You need replies that end the conversation like, "I'll be sure to know when my BF stops using condoms," or "Why would you ask me something so personal?" Avoid bringing it up as much as possible and deflect. "You're 19, so I'll think about kids when it's time." Should be enough for most for now. How do I know this? 55F. No kids. I am grateful I never had any. I respect the hell out of men and women who choose not to have children. They should do so unapologetically. I'm a childless old woman and I'm ridiculously happy with my decision not to breed. My life is all about my husband, myself, and our adventures and discoveries. Children would take a lot of happiness out of my life. Particularly as a woman, you kinda have a limited time window to safely have kids. People who wanna have kids project their fear of not having kids enjoyment and fulfillment from having kids onto you, and they are afraid that you're making a mistake in the limited time frame that you have. I think you should make sure that you've given this a lot of thought, as far as your future and whether you really want kids. But I think a lot of the pressure you're experiencing is just a lot of irrationally emotional fears. You have plenty of time to figure out if being a parent is right for you, and, as somebody who's also child-free, I think it's also perfectly reasonable that you'll make the world a better place without the burden of traditional parenthood. My old school dad says women should have kids for the human race. I chose not to have kids for the human race because the earth is too overpopulated as is, and it's not a good world to be having kids, honestly. I love kids and always dreamed of having kids. I never understood why people act like it's weird for people to not want them though. My toddler has had some really rough days, and I'm like, I get why some people wouldn't want to deal with this. For me, the good makes the bad worth it though. That's not the same for everyone. I think people react that way because before, even if you didn't want kids, you did it anyway. That's just what you did. Get married, make babies. It caused a lot of traumatized and insecure children because they had parents who never wanted kids, did anyway, and they grew up neglected and were resented for simply existing. Now women have more of a choice. I noticed it's normally older people who question child-free people. I think having kids when you know you don't want them is selfish. People have kids and end up resenting them and causing trauma. You are not a bad person for not wanting kids. You are a good person for being self-aware enough to know it isn't for you. There's no trial for babies, and unless you know you want them, you shouldn't have them. Some people get upset because they didn't realize they had the choice to be child-free, and sadly, some people truly didn't have a choice. Imagine someone told you that you have to pay $2,000 to cross a bridge, and you pay. But then you see other people just walking by without paying, and they say, "Oh yeah, you can just not pay if you don't want to." That could be upsetting. I don't know what kids cost these days, but I know it's more than $2K. It's a shock for some to realize you don't have to give up your autonomy and freedom and personhood to be a parent. And they can sometimes be upset that you made a choice they felt they didn't get. I broke up with two great guys because they wanted kids and I didn't. Now I found the love of my life that also doesn't want kids. The what if you meet someone thing is bizarre. You just go meet someone else. You have a different opinion and they hate that. Some people can't wait to have kids and parenting becomes their life, and that's fine. Some people don't want that, and that's fine too. Punctuation. Social structure and expectancy of what normal is. It's normal for a woman to want to be a mother and have kids, and anything outside that is weird for some people. Even non-conservative people have this vision of normality. They feel judged. It's all about them, and you making an alternate choice is threatening. Notice they all start with their own reasoning for what they did and when. Because they see women's bodies as public property, and as such, they believe we are meant to aid population growth, regardless of how we might feel about it. In other words, we are below human. We don't have real feelings. To them we are just objects. The sooner you learn that, the easier you'll navigate through this world, young lady. That's so funny. They don't with me. It is because of procreation. Oh no! If more people don't start having kids, the population will die off. It's also super cultural. Like in my city, most people don't have kids, don't want kids, and that's totally respected and normal here. But in the place I grew up, people would try to guilt trip. You're the author of your own life. As long as your choices are legal, you never have to answer to anyone. As the clique goes, choose your life, don't let your life choose you. Biggest word of advice to anyone in young adulthood. It's possibly because they do want kids and they like you, and are broaching the subject to see if your desires for the future match. I think guys don't really have to think about it. Their jobs, personal finances, bodies, and overall life don't get entirely derailed, so they don't get an opinion worth consideration. I'm 28, never wanted kids, still don't. Still get people saying I'll want kids. I'm not popping a baby out of anywhere. If I do want a kid someday, I'll adopt, but kids give me anxiety even though I'm great with them and I don't need more anxiety in my life. For centuries, women were raised to be mothers, and we've reached a point now where we women are realizing we do not need to be mothers to lead fulfilling lives. A decent majority of the population is slowly coming to terms with that. I know a few couples in their 30s who have decided against kids. I hope that in the future, we won't be looked at with such shocked looks when we share that we don't have plans to birth children. My mother and father told me for years, I'd change my mind. My mother is not happy about my choice, but even they have come to terms with my choice and even agree that the times have changed. The most difficult part for me has been the guilt. I'm my mother's only chance of being a grandma, and I've only given her grandpups. That's my burden to bear, but I'm so happy where I am in my life with no kids that the burden isn't too hard to manage.